Welcome to the week two go-to session. So this is the second of four sessions we're having this month. Hopefully things will go a tad smoother than week one. Week one went pretty well, but I think, I don't know if she's with us tonight, but last week Taisha let me know that what I thought I was sharing for everybody to see wasn't actually visible. So there was a little 5 minute awkwardness there, but I'll try to better manage it this week. So everybody should be able to see like my main screen here. Okay, if you can't see it, let me know. It's the actual our course page. Okay, so I'm kind of scrolling down it now. So week one, I'm finishing up grading the bio paragraphs. Okay, and then I'll move on to the summary that you handed in Sunday night. I do have until the end of the day Thursday to grade everything, but I hope to have things graded sooner than that. Tomorrow's gonna be my big day. Okay, so you're gonna get feedback on that. Week two, pretty much the same. Notice you have a grammar quiz. This grammar quiz is kind of awkward. You have to take it a couple times, or at least you're allowed a couple of attempts to take it. But here's the deal, like you get an automatic 100 just for taking it a couple times. It's sort of an awkward activity, but go ahead and do it so you can get those easy 5%. We used to allow up to 10 attempts, but students weren't taking all 10 attempts to improve their grade. Like, yeah, the first time you take it, you probably won't do very well. But the goal was, because you get explanations for why you got things wrong, that with up to 10 attempts, people should be able to lift their grade into the B or even better, the A range. But students weren't taking the full 10 attempts. So now it's reduced to, I think, 2 or 3 attempts. And as soon as you do those attempts, yeah, it automatically grades you at 100. So I'm not sure the efficacy of such an activity, because now that I'm revealing to you that's what happens, I don't know what's going to stop people from just taking it and not trying and just getting the automatic 100. But that's for us to figure out. So, okay, so you got this new thing. Otherwise, we have 2 assignments, okay? So one is due Wednesday. So don't be fooled, because week one, of course, there's a discussion-based activity where one half is due on Wednesday, the other half is due on Sunday. Here, it's just due on Wednesday. So let's start with that one, and then we'll move on to the other major assignment, which is due on Sunday. And because I said before I started recording that this should be a short lecture, because this assignment is exactly the same as the assignment you just handed in for Sunday. So I'll get to that one in a bit, but let's start with this guy here, okay? Or this one, 2.3, check your flow. Now, I'm hoping the screen moves with you to the check your flow. Do I have to? I don't think I have to share that. Let's see. No, we should still be good. Okay, so here, let me move this out of the way. You can read through the instructions on your own mostly. Essentially, you're going to take what you handed in Sunday, okay, your summary, and you're going to do 2 things. 2 things, okay? Sometimes students only do one part, but there are 2. First, you're going to color code the summary. So the summary you just handed in, you're going to take it and you're going to color code it. So you're going to identify the thesis or main idea. That would be your capturing of whatever article you chose, its thesis or main idea. If you watched the week 1 lecture or you attended, you might remember I gave some pretty quick tips on what to do, including beginning with a short introduction where you sort of mention the author's name, explain in a sentence or 2 what the article is generally about, and then try to capture like what the article's main point or main stance or main argument is. That's like your thesis or main idea. And if that appears anywhere in your summary, you'll color it blue. Topic sentences, which tend to be the first lines of your other paragraphs, should be colored green. Evidence, so anything pulled from the article that you see as evidence, you would color purple. Anything explanation, red. These 2 are overlapping. I get it, okay? And I'm not going to look so closely at your color coding to decide what's evidence and what's explanation. It's a little bit awkward, but just use your judgment. And then concluding idea in pink. Usually that's if you have some sort of like closing sentence or 2 or a short paragraph, that would be colored pink. The best thing I could do is really point you to the example. Because remember, every assignment in this class comes with examples. So if we click on the PDF here, let me see, do I need to change what I'm sharing? Give me a second. Yes. Okay, so now you should see the share. Yeah, if you look at this, this is the sample summary that we talked about in week 1, or that we took a quick look at in week 1, a summary of this article about the Big Bang Theory, the television show. As you can see, he's colored the article's thesis in blue, right? His, meaning the author's, argument is that the show, despite its fault, generally transcends stereotypes, okay? So if you have something like that in your own summary, you'll color that blue. Again, usually the opening sentence of other paragraphs is your topic sentence because it defines what the paragraph is going to be about. That's what a topic sentence is. It's sort of like the thesis for that paragraph. So if you can identify something like that, like a defining sentence that sets things up, you can color that green. And he's colored purple, evidence, explanations in red, and then his closing thoughts are colored pink. Okay, so that's the first half, is that you have to color code. And I'm pretty easygoing on the color coding. I just want to see like logic, so things aren't just colored randomly. Yeah, I'll expect something at the beginning that's thesis-like to be colored blue. Hopefully, yes, some sort of like defining sentences should be colored green. Like I said, I won't make too big a deal about what's colored red and what's colored purple because there's some overlap there. And if you have some thoughts at the end that are colored, that kind of capture what the article's closing argument or thoughts are, you'll color that pink. But you also have to write a reflection of at least 100 words. Okay, and this is important. And sometimes students forget about this. They color code, but they don't write the reflection. The reflection is important because, as I said, it will probably take me past midnight to Wednesday. I tend to pull all-nighters on Wednesdays to get things done because I don't like to wait until Thursday, end of day Thursday, to get things graded. But you may get your grade on the summary tomorrow or overnight or early Thursday morning. So you won't have my feedback yet, perhaps, in order to do this activity. But that's actually a good thing because I like the idea of you color coding on your own and writing your own reflection. And the reflection is important because, here, let me go back to desktop. Let's see. Bear with me. I want to make sure I have the right thing highlighted. Yes. No, I don't. Oops, that's not the right thing. Okay, I think I have it in the right place now. As I said, it's awkward because GoToTraining, you didn't have to do this. I have to actually isolate exactly which tab I want to share. Okay, but yeah, in the instructions, where's the reflection? Here, reflect. Once you've identified the different parts of your summary, in other words, color-coded it, write a short 100-word reflection about the organizational structure. In other words, you're going to answer these questions. Were there any places where you could have improved? Did the color coding help illuminate any errors? What aspects of the summary did you think were well organized? So the reflection is important because, like, I don't believe in double penalizing. Let's say you didn't do so hot on the summary. Well, that would really stink if you have to color code your summary and find out all the ways through the color coding that it's not working. So the reflection mitigates against that, right? So someone says in a reflection, like, the color coding activity helped me realize that I didn't really capture what the article's main idea or argument or thesis was. Or the color coding helped me realize that I could have organized better, or that I didn't really capture or have a concluding idea, right? Like that helps me identify, like, oh, okay, well, yeah, the person maybe struggled a bit with the summary, but they're showing me that they're aware of that. Okay, but without the reflection, I don't know that. So does that make sense? Anybody have questions about this assignment? It's really simpler than you think. Okay, so there's color coding according to these different parts. And you have an example to study. And then you'll follow that with a short, at least 100-word reflection, okay, about what you learned from the color coding. This is not like a high stakes assignment. I mean, yes, it's worth points, but I'm saying it's not the most difficult assignment in the world, okay, to color code and write a short reflection. And that's due Wednesday, so tomorrow night, midnight. So let's move. It doesn't sound like people have questions in the chat. So let's move to the next assignment. I told you this is going to be a short lecture because there's not much to introduce this week. I mean, really. I sometimes joke that the first 2 weeks for some students feel kind of samey. It's like, really? I got to write yet another summary? Yes. As I said in week 1, people are very, very good at sharing their opinions. Like, people are awesome at that. People don't need any more practice at just shouting their opinions. Go to a YouTube comment section or a Reddit thread or any comment section, right, beneath a newspaper article. Like, people are awesome at sharing their opinions. They're so awesome at it that they often just skip whatever it is that they're responding to and just jump to the comments and start sometimes writing in all caps what they think. So we're encouraging people to, like, slow down. Before you can respond to something truly, you should take the time to read it, to think about it. And we want you to demonstrate that you've read things and thought about them. So here's the week 2 assignment, which is the same as the week 1 assignment. Okay? So if week 1, you chose the Micah Peters Jay-Z article, this week you'll choose this one by Michael Eric Dyson. He's a pretty famous guy. You see him all over television. I think he's a professor somewhere. So you'll read his Jay-Z article. If last time you wrote about Michael Lewis's piece on video game addiction, you'll choose this article on video game addiction. Ditto, okay? Here was, week 1 was about Netflix, but here it's still about streaming media, okay? This time it's about a competitor, Disney Plus. Ditto, if you wrote about Harry Potter last time, you'll choose this one. I need to make this clear because, I mean, to the people who are here with me live, to the people who watch the recording, this will not be a problem. I'm worried again about the people who don't watch the lectures because every month, and I don't catch it. I should, but it's difficult to remember what people wrote about in week 1. So they'll choose the Jay-Z article in week 1, and then they'll jump and write about Disney Plus in week 2, and that creates problems. Because what we're building toward is that finally, next week, you get to start speaking your mind, okay? So just as a preview, next week, you are going to take one of the 2 articles that you summarized and respond to it. And then week 4, you are going to respond again, but you're going to fold in information from both articles. So we're kind of taking things one step at a time. But yeah, the first 2 weeks means showing me that you've read the article with care, that you understand it, and that you can show that you understand it by summarizing it. Okay? So you'll notice that all these instructions here are the exact same as week 1. You have yet another example. Okay, I believe it's on a different article. So let me switch to that. Okay. So for this week, Jane Smith has written about a different Big Bang Theory article. And here's her summary. Now, here, let me open up real quickly. I'm not going to spend time with it really, but I am going to just remind people of what we did in week 1. So hold on, let me find it. Here we go, summary. Okay. Now, let me choose. There we go. Okay, so in week 1, I showed this. And I recommended week 1 that you could either take a quick screenshot, you could just revisit the recording, because after this session is over, I post the recording and send it out as an announcement. So you can always just skip ahead to this part of the video. Remember, I gave a bunch of do's and don'ts. For example, you shouldn't be speaking out loud at all because it's not time for that. A summary is just a concise retelling of what the article is mostly about. Its overall main point, plus its most important kind of key ideas, okay? And so on. Like, don't write a walkthrough of the article. Then I gave you a basic structure to follow, okay? Short introduction, where you name the author, tell a little bit about what the article's about, and then a capturing of what the article's main argument is, and then just devote separate paragraphs to the most important key points from the article, and then a short conclusion if possible. And if we look at the example, remember I did this in week 1 as well. Hold on. New share. Let me get it to the right place. There we go. Okay, so now we see the essay again. Okay, same deal. Okay, so here's this introduction is longer than her last one, but still same thing. Okay, so it names the author, Student Heritage's article, names the article, describes what it's about. It's about the cancellation of Big Bang Theory, um, right? And then actually, all these sentences here are kind of capturing what the article is about and what its main argument is. Okay. Actually, I think the week one was tighter in that sense. If you remember from week one, the article had like one sentence that mentions the author and the name of the article, just a quick sentence or two about what the article is generally about, and then, yeah, the single kind of statement of what the author's argument is. But anyway, you have an example to study. Okay, remember it should be a multi-paragraph summary, not just a single ginormous paragraph. And here's the good news. Even though hold on. Can people, yeah, you should see the assignment instructions again. Even though it's the same assignment from week one, you're just choosing the next article, okay, that matches what you chose in week one. I think there's value to this because think about this. If you did awesome, and you won't know until like tomorrow or possibly early Thursday, but if you did awesome on the week one summary that you handed in on Sunday, well, just do it again. Obviously, what you did was working well. So do it another time with this article. If you didn't do so well, here's a chance to improve. You get a second shot at it. Okay. Um, that's why I kind of like the samey. Like I get that it's maybe not the most exciting thing to write a summary in week one and then another summary in week two, but it is awesome if you did super well because you just have to do it again, or if you struggled because you get another chance. So keep that in mind, okay? You're going to get my feedback. The biggest issues I see are usually the summaries are working pretty well. I mean, only occasionally, maybe a few students every month make the mistake of responding to the article instead of summarizing it. But that's pretty rare. Usually the summaries are pretty okay, but either they're one ginormous paragraph, like one wall text, instead of being several paragraphs, following that structure that I just showed, or they're not in APA format. So in the week one lecture, I showed in real time. Remember, I opened up a blank Microsoft Word document and went through the steps of how to set up the paper, how to create paragraphs, how to create a reference. Yeah, there are points for APA. And I hate having to take off points for APA, but APA is the style system you're going to use in every Full Sail class from here on out. And instructors will expect you to have the basics down pat. The basics mean layout, like how to double space paragraphs and indent the first lines of new paragraphs. It includes in-text citations, which we'll get to next week because that involves quoting, and how to create references, okay? These things are not difficult. You essentially have to make your paper look like this. Okay, does anybody need to, do you need me to show you again in real time how to set up the paper and create a reference? Or can I point you to the week one lecture? Don't feel shy. If you want to use the chat to say, no, I'm good, I remember, or I know where to go, or I can take the 5 minutes to show how to do it. Again, how to make your paper look like this. I know not everybody's comfortable with the new Zoom software, doesn't exactly know where to go, so you'll have to find in your menu the chat function. Again, I don't know what to do because I went over this in week one, so part of me wants to say go there to the week one lecture, but part of me realizes that I don't have that much more to share, so I can definitely take the time to show how to set up the paper again. Thoughts? Okay, thank you, Joshua. Joshua says, yes, he would appreciate showing. Okay, so let's do that. Let me open up a blank Microsoft Word document. And let me share it with you. Okay, so you should see my Microsoft Word page. Okay, so the first thing, and by the way, if people want to hang out, please do. I don't think this information is bad to hear a second time, but if you really need to get out of here, you can do so because After this, really, that's all I have to go over. That color coding assignment, and then the week 2 assignment, or excuse me, the assignment that's due Sunday, which is the same as the one you just handed in. Okay, so that's why I didn't spend more time with it, because I spent a lot of time in week 1. Okay, so first thing we need to do is the entire document needs to be in Time New Roman, 12-point font. Boom. It also needs to be double spaced. So we're going to change this from 1.0 to 2.0. Okay. And you'll have some top of page 1 information. So you'll put your name, like John Smith, the name of the class, English composition, and then the name of the assignment. What is it, 2.5? Zooming out. Okay. Then you will center a title. Usually the title is something like Summary of Our Video Games. Oops. Really addictive. Yeah, the title of the article, if it appears anywhere else but the right references page, we follow the typical rules where we capitalize the first letters of important words. This completely changes on the references page. That's why APA is a little bit goofy, because it has those kind of idiosyncratic rules. Notice, because we already have things double spaced, I'm just hitting enter once. Just once. Okay, not twice, not 3 times, just once. Purple Art says it was a struggle because it kept indenting the whole thing, but I was able to get the ruler tab out. Yeah. I'll show that in a second. If you have the ruler tab, I think it's View Ruler already selected, it makes things easier, because then if you talk about indenting references, then you can just grab the bottom half of the hourglass. If it's paragraphs, you don't even need to touch the ruler. Okay, so I'll hit enter, and then we can start typing. So we're going to start on the left side of the page. We hit tab, okay, on the left side of your keyboard to indent, and you can start typing away. When you get to the end of a sentence, a period, hit your space bar twice. 1, 2. Oh, here, let me copy this, because I'm going to fill up a whole bunch of space. Okay, so 1, 2, period, 1, 2. And because we have double spacing set up, it automatically wraps around. All of you know that, but you'd be amazed that there are a handful of students every month who don't. And so they're on single spacing, and then when they reach the edge of the screen, they force it to double space by hitting enter twice, but that creates problems, okay? Because the program doesn't know what you're doing. Sometimes it thinks it's the start of a new paragraph and starts capitalizing letters unnecessarily. Okay, let me fill up a bunch of space. So let's imagine that's a paragraph, okay? If you reach the end of a paragraph, you hit enter just once. Not twice, not 3 times, just once. Hit tab to indent and keep going. Oops, enter, tab, keep going. Now I'm going to pretend the next paragraph is the end of the summary, because that's probably how long a lot of summaries are, right? Now you will see an example sometimes that they have an extra space here. You can do that if you want, it's unnecessary. But what you don't need is extra spaces between paragraphs. Okay, I know it looks like everything's cramped together, but it's not. Okay, when you read a novel, you don't see lots of extra space between paragraphs. It looks cramped, but it isn't, okay? So whenever you reach the end of the paper or the summary, you just hit enter. Hit enter twice if you want here, that's okay. And you're going to center the word references. Okay, then we're going to create a reference. Now you just have to create a reference for the one article that you're summarizing. Joshua says, okay, so always space twice after a sentence. Yes, when you hit a period, hit your space bar twice. Okay, that's just kind of a standard rule. I know there are some places, sometimes you'll read things where you don't see 2 spaces between sentences, but that's really standard issue for like typing in Microsoft Word or typing an essay. Now, let's have some fun and let's choose an example. So whoever actually did this article will be able to benefit from me showing it in real time. So let me choose, hold on, why is it? Okay, so here, I'll choose this one. Why Disney will be tough to beat. Did it follow me too? No. Okay. So we have everything we need here. Okay, so we have an author's name, David Sims, a date, April 16, 2019. And we have a title, Why Disney Tough Will Be Tough to Beat. So let me show you how easy this is. So let me go back to Microsoft Word. Okay, so references. So we hit enter just once. We have to begin on the left again. But here we don't need to indent. We just type last name, Sims, comma, space, first initial, David, so that's D, period. And then we put a full date in parentheses. So that was 2019, we start with the year, comma, the full name of the month, so we don't abbreviate like this. We spell it out, April, what was it, 16th? Period. After each section of information, there's a period. So author ends with a period, date ends with a period. Then comes the article title. Now here's the thing people forget. Only in the references do things change. And we capitalize the article like we would a normal sentence. So the article title was Why Disney Plus Will Be Tough to Beat. So why, because it's the first letter of a sentence, we would capitalize the W. We capitalize Disney because that's the name of a company. But everything else will be tough to beat. Lowercase. Okay, it's strange, but that's how APA works. But it's only on the references page. So if this article title appears anywhere else, for example, you begin your essay with David Sims in his article, Why Disney Plus Will Be Tough to Beat, okay? Argues, and then we'll just imagine the rest of the sentence. But here, it's different, okay? We capitalize every major word, not two, because it's a tiny word, but everything else gets capitalized, just like you would in MLA. It's only on the references page that we switch to this goofy format, where we capitalize like we would a regular sentence. Then, the rule is if it comes from online, you don't have to list a publication. If you do, you italicize it. So you could write The Atlantic. You don't have to, though. And then we simply need the URL, the web address. I'm going to go grab that, which you can't see, but I'm back. Boom. Now, here's where things need some cleanup, okay? It always does this. So sometimes we need the highlights, make it double spaced again, make sure that it's all in Times New Roman, because sometimes that can change. It is. I hate seeing the hyperlink lit up. It drives me nuts. If you do it, it doesn't, but for me, I have to get rid of it. So I right-clicked, go to hyperlink, remove hyperlink. Oh, and it sometimes does this as well. Even though hyperlink is gone, like I have to change it to black font. I have to get rid of the underlining. That's like a carryover from the website. Okay, and while it's still highlighted, I'll take away the highlighting, but we grab any additional lines past the first one and indent it 1/2 inch. And here's where the ruler comes into play. So now that it's highlighted, we drag the bottom half of the hourglass over 1/2 inch, like that. Boom. There's a reference, okay? So it's a complete opposite of normal paragraphs where you do indent the first line, but you don't indent the others. Here, you don't indent the first line, but you do indent any that come after. Yeah, Joshua doesn't like the hyperlink either. It looks, I don't know. It looks nicer like this. I think because we want to consistently see everything in the same font, the same spacing, and the hyperlink just visually is distracting. You don't get points taken off, though, if the hyperlink is still there, so don't worry. I'm much more interested in, can you do this? Okay, and if we look at the example, so let me switch to this, okay? Again, you can always, if you don't like, let's say you don't like my walkthrough, you can look at the example, same thing, okay? So heritage, last name, comma, first initial, period, full date in parentheses. The date is not abbreviated, or the month is spelled out. Same thing, punctuated like a regular sentence. So the Big Bang Theory is not only capitalized, but it's italicized because we do italicize the names of like movies, television shows, books, magazines, newspapers, plays, Television shows, I think I already mentioned that. CDs. So that's why it's also italicized. But everything else is lowercase. Yeah, the O and R is capitalized because it's like the secondary half of the title, but everything else lowercase, okay? Name of publication, italicized, and then the web address, okay? So you have like several places to go. You can look at the example and just imitate the example, or you can follow along with the lecture, which I just went through in real time. So, okay, any questions, comments, considerations? Really, if you can do this, which I think is incredibly simple. I think I mentioned this last week. I knew MLA until I got here to Full Sail. So I had to learn APA. And now I can do it in my sleep. So can you. Like, this is pretty simple stuff. Can you double space a document? Can you make sure that the entire document is in Times New Roman? 12 point. At the end, can you create a basic reference? Those of you who have the video game related article, I'll give you a hint. Yeah, the author, because there's no real author, is simply the name of the publication. So the News Guard. Oops, period. I forget what the date is. I'll just make one up. 2019, October 12. Okay. And the title of that article was something like Addiction Schools Take Action to Ease Youth Video Game Addiction. Look, all lowercase, right? We do capitalize the first letter after a colon. You wouldn't typically do that in a normal sentence, but again, it's like the second half of the title, so we do. I know it's goofy. You just have to remember that one exception. And then if you want the publication, you can repeat it again, simply the News Guard. And then there's got to be a web address, which is not this one, but I'll just pretend that it is. Yeah, okay, there we go. All right. So if you chose this article, I've kind of done it for you. You'll have to get these details right because that's not right, and this isn't right. But same thing. If there's no author, but there is a clear organization, the organization can be the author. Okay. So yeah, I think I mentioned this week one. Like, some instructors are real sticklers when it comes to APA. Like, they will take off massive points for getting any of this stuff wrong. I'm a little bit easier going in that I just want to make sure that you're getting it mostly right. Although the points do get lost if someone just opens up a document and starts typing away in whatever font and single space and isn't following any APA guidelines whatsoever. But yeah, be careful. APA is the style system used in all Full Sail classes, and they will expect you to have these basics down. Okay, so questions, comments, anything we should talk about before we wrap things up? If not, you don't have to hang around. I thank you so much for hanging in there. And I thank Joshua for asking me to do this in real time again, because I don't mind doing it. Thank you. I appreciate everyone attending. So I will see you next week, same bat time, same bat channel, okay? I'll hang out for a little bit in case people have questions, but I think I'm going to stop the recording. I can find the control. There it is. I'm stopping the recording now.